Keith, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, Eagle, I'm glad to be here, man. And what a fun topic we have to discuss today, huh?
I think, when I went through a big speakers coach seminar years ago, they said there's two types of speakers who always win in this game. One is if you talk about God, two is if you talk about sex.
Nice. I like it. I like
So
it.
we've got one of those covered. Found you on Instagram where I find most of the people really started following you, listening to what you do. Love what this is about. And like I said in the intro, you help men to be able to, or you help a sexless, this is what you have on your Instagram. To have a sexless marriage is a sign to wake up, not a sentence to endure. So you help hundreds of men fix it and can show you how to do it too. So you help us men who are married how to fix a sexless marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. And not just sexless, but disconnected, which is usually what leads to the sexlessness. I don't know if my view is unique on this. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. It's an honor. I love talking to dudes. And we all have one core thing inside of us, and that is we all want to be loved. When it's all boiled down to it, man, if we know our woman loves us and it's being expressed in a way that's meaningful to us, which is getting naked and having a good time, we feel like we can conquer the world. There's this wind in our sails. There's this pep in our step that says, I got goals, I've got dreams, I've got aspirations, and you know what? I'm gonna go crush them because I got a woman behind me that's not nagging, critical, and making me feel and making me feel like she doesn't even love me, and I'm isolated from her, and that disconnection. So what I really two main things: connection outside the bedroom leads to connection inside the bedroom. Most men don't understand that. And secondly, most men don't understand that it is really within their control to create whatever sex life they want. And I come from a very religious community in my past where there was a lot of shame and guilt and pressure around the topic of sex. And so in our community, there was just a tremendous amount of like guys doing shit that was shameful, and they had to cover everything up. And then by covering up, we only found out after it was really too late. That's exactly what happened in our community. What happened in my life. And I said, you know what? There's got to be a better and a different way here. And let's dive into that. And it came through a series of painful lessons for me, but here we are.
Love it, man. One thing that you brought up was, as men, we want to go out there and want to, conquer the world, knowing that we have a good woman behind us. I think about all these scenes in movies like Spartacus and Gladiator and all these movies where they're about to go out and they have this incredible sex with their woman, right? And she says, "Go get him," and he goes out. And he's got his six pack and he's got his spear. He's like, "Oh, let's do this." And that's kind of like what I think as men we want, right? Like that's what, like, I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna go bring home, I don't want to say the bacon on a Jewish show. Bring home
Bring home the
and
buffalo.
there you
You
go.
guys eat buffalo?
I haven't had any buffalo, so but
Okay.
we'll bring home
Hey
some
man, it chews the cubs and it's got a split hoof, dude. You're good to go.
that, if it does that, I'll try it. I just have
Yeah.
never tried buffalo, and and so that's what we want. So really talk to me first of all about your past. Listening to you, you went from like pastor a long time ago to doing some wild things in between to now teaching men how to have a connected, more sexful marriage.
Yeah, exactly. So, from an early age, I've been pretty committed to wanting to love my creator. It was just, I was like, all right, I don't know how all this got here, but I want to know, and I want to know the entity that created it. So I've always had like a passion and love for that. And in my religion, that I wasn't satisfied with what the answer was with all of that. So it led me, I said, I'm gonna go explore, I'm gonna go do my thing, which led me to Las Vegas, creating a really successful real estate investing business. And also, I met lots of very pretty women. And I realized that, dang, uh, with understanding a certain skill set, really understanding the mind of a woman and what turns her on, what makes her want to be with you, was not something that my dad taught me. It wasn't something I wasn't learning. I didn't really learn this from anybody. I had to learn it from women, and I had to learn it from some books that were almost like don't read those. Those are going to ruin your soul type books. When in reality, it taught me the psychology of this. So going from being a pastor back in my day, then starting a business and living in Las Vegas and discovering multiple women and learning what actual attraction means. Well, after that, I found the one I wanted to be with the rest of my life. And after being with her for close to 5 years, she basically said, and it was till death do us part. We're going the distance. And she said, man, you run your business and you come home and talk about your business. You fall asleep on the couch. It's not what I signed up for. I feel radically neglected and I'm leaving. And basically her closing argument was, I believe my life would be better without you in it. And I was like, okay, I've been with hundreds of women. I know what attraction is. I know what's going, and I realized, damn, I dropped the ball on this. And so in realizing that I pushed the greatest woman out, that I had done all the same mistakes that every other guy does when they go, dude, I'm laying next to my wife, but I feel like a mile away from her. Our conversations are shallow. It's never about intimacy and, hey, you want to try this thing? Or, hey, let's just go away for 2 days and let's just have sex in a hotel and just lay around like lions on the Serengeti. And whenever we're feeling frisky, we go back at it. Like, I didn't know how to do any of that. I didn't learn how to do that. And I didn't see any of that. But I knew, okay, Keith, this is on you. You're the problem, which means you're also the solution. And I realized, okay, there's something going on here. And I was able to get her back. I actually got her back because I realized who I was. I'm like, dude, I pushed the greatest girl out. I understood now the principle. I started working on me to become this guy for me, not for her. I didn't do any of this to get her back. I did this to work on me to become the best version of me. And then that's when she's like, whoa, dude. So all of it kind of came to being when all my best friends saw, my best friends saw me go through this horrendous situation. They saw me come back from it. And then in a matter of time, they started all asking me questions and advice on how the heck I made my marriage so hot and passionate and fun and flirty and all the things that we experienced when we first started dating.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized I need to create something. And we ended up calling it Married Game, teaching married guys game, which at first I thought it's kind of a cliche title, kind of cheeky, kind of fun, kind of cheesy. I don't really know. But after having hundreds of guys go through our program over the last 3.5 years, I realized, oh my God, if there's one man on planet Earth that needs game more than any other man, it's actually the married guy.
Yes.
And that when I really embraced that, I was realizing, what is a married man supposed to do if he's in a marriage where his wife just doesn't want sex that much, or his wife doesn't understand how full it makes him when he gets to enjoy her in that way? And so if a guy is married, he doesn't know how to go out and practice this because he can't. He has one shot on goal, as it were. Well, what if we could teach this guy how to create the environment that the love he wants becomes abundant and he receives as much as he wants? So that's when it really started kicking into high gear for me. I'm like, oh man, guys need to hear this stuff.
Love it. So as you were talking and what your wife said to you, that she's probably having a better life without you. I was married 7 months, and my wife sat me down and said, I didn't get married to be alone. And she was like crying. She's like, I can't. This is stupid. This is ridiculous. You're falling asleep on the couch. We're not connected emotionally, physically, nothing. You're 40 pounds over. I was 40 pounds overweight. Just pretending that things were going on. And it's really funny that you said that we're not taught how to do this. In a prior life, I was studying to become a sex coach because I never saw the couples around me live passionately. And I was like, man, if they just, had great sex and were passionate, connected. So that's what I wanted to learn. So I love having you on to talk about this.
Oh, great, man.
And I'm excited.
Yeah.
There's something that you said on another show. You said that you learned how the female brain works and what makes them want to get naked with a guy, right? And so we'll dive into the $5 of powerhouse marriage. But let me ask you this question. You had lots of women, you won back your wife, your friends are asking. There's got to be moments, right, where the married game isn't not working, but it's still tough for you, right? Things aren't working. And then you've got to go back into your tool bag and pull out what you teach the guys sometimes. Is Does that happen?
You mean in my own marriage?
Yeah.
Of course, dude. Yeah, this is do you do any martial arts at all? I know you're named semi-similar to Steven Seagal, but do you do any martial arts at
I
all?
used to. I used to a long time ago.
Okay, so I'm really into jujitsu. I love it. I've only been doing it for 8 months, but I'm in, like, when I'm in something, I'm in it.
Yeah.
And I realized that marriage, the martial arts are a lot like the marital arts. It's you don't solve a problem and it goes away altogether. You become good at handling problems
Mm.
more and more and more. So, a white belt knows certain things, a blue belt knows certain things, a purple belt knows certain things, a brown belt and a black belt. But what happens is I realized that the more I was learning this and getting very positive feedback from my wife, the tapping my leg under the shoulder at dinner when we're out, and she's like, dude, will you just fuck me in the back of the Escalade when we get done with this? Like, no problem, babe. Like, that's every guy's dream. And I understand, and I share that story because this is like a reality in my life. And I didn't think it ever would be. And so when it comes to, like, all right, do I still run into things? Yes, because I'm growing as a human being all the time. And I'm realizing, oh shit, I'm not as thoughtful in this area that she really wanted me to be. And so I'm growing in the art every day. But here's the difference. Here's the difference is most guys that come to me, usually they're turned on by my work, either because they go, I've had those questions and I would love that result, or they're deep in what we call the pit. And the pit is like, the pain is so deep here. There's no connection. Sometimes they haven't had sex in 6 months or a year, or when they do have sex, it feels like it's just vaginal masturbation. She's just like, hurry up, the Bachelor's on in 4 minutes. Like, do your thing, right? And a guy's just like, dude, this is horrible. I would rather make love to my hand because it feels like it's actually wants to be there. And so you see this happen, and you see the results come back. But then you realize that yes, you have all the connectivity and all the physical intimacy back. But what I have discovered is the deeper and more you learn this and the more you really live this way, the soul starts to open up and they start to mesh together. So it's like, I always say it's one thing to have sex with the whole, but it's another thing to have sex with the soul. And
Love that.
honeymoon, I call honeymoon is for the minor leaguers. Honeymoon sex, like, that's cute. But dude, soul sex gets better and better with age. And after, our 12th year anniversary, which was a little over 6 months ago, it was the best sex of my entire life. But my top 10 sexual experiences are with my wife. I'm just like, oh, that's a new number 3. That's a fucking, wow, well done, babe. Because it's the soul becoming truly one. And when you feel that acceptance from your wife, that she wants to be meshed with you and one with you, dude, that shit will make you run through 7 brick walls. And that's what I'm teaching guys to do, is to become the guy that their wife looks at that way again, because she looked at you that way in the beginning. And if you could get her to look at you that way again by being that guy, dude, there is no end to what this really, like, a lot of guys go, wait, man, when it's good, it's good. Well, you can make it good about 95. I've made it good about 95% of the time. There's 5% of the time where my ego gets in the way, and she's got one too, and I hate it, and she hates mine.
Yeah, it happens. I love that you said soul sex. That's incredible. Two
Yeah.
questions for you before we go on to the 5 dials. One,
Okay.
there's got to be guys who come to you and say, bro, dude, you don't know my wife. My wife's different. She doesn't like sex. She doesn't want sex. She's sexless. It's just not going to happen. It's not me. It's her. She needs therapy. She needs work. Who can I call to get her the work?
I would say 2 things. First of analogy is when you have 2 magnets that are, pushed together, they can't go together. It only takes one to flip for the attraction to slam back together. That's an oversimplification of what actually happens, but it works 99% of the time.
Got it.
So for
Actually,
that 1% of the guy, okay, here's the other thing. And I'm going to shock the world with this one. And are you going to quit? Or are you just going to accept that this is the way it is and just go realize I'm going to have a really shitty sex life the rest of my life? Poor me, woe's me, wham. Or are you going to go, no, this is actually really important to me. and I'm going to do whatever it takes. And here's what normally happens. When a guy sees his wife responding in a C or D grade letter fashion that's, average or below, it's usually a mirror. 95% of the time, it's a mirror of how he is treating her, which means he's probably a C or D level of who he is right now.
Yeah.
And she's mirroring it. And so I would always tell that guy, well, let's get you to the A level of you because that's where you want to be anyway. And then let's give her some time to start mirroring this A level behavior. And if you can nail that, oh, my friend, you will experience everything you're wanting to experience.
Love that. And today I think that it's easy to take the easy route, right? I've had a conversation with guys before who say, oh, I'll just, go get a good massage and get a rub and tug and I'll get that feeling out and I'll just go back with a smile on my face and that's fine. Or it's okay and things happen. And it's just easy to make it easy. I think that we have this conversation in our minds or, in my group where it's like, man, like working on the marriage and working on my wife, that's hard. Jerking off, going and doing other stuff. That's easy. We'll just do that. But it takes work to get this done. I mean, I guess you're going to talk about the 5 Dows. It's not about just, oh, it's easy to do. Read a book and you're good. You're golden. It takes like real work. I worked with Robert Glover. Dr. Robert Glover was on the show. I worked with him privately. He's like, man, it's being a nice guy. That's the easy part. Changing the nice guy syndrome, it takes a lot of work to make that happen. Is that so with this as well?
So I'll ask you a series of questions. And to make a lot of money, is it easy or I don't want to, I know that we have conditioned ourselves to believe that everything is easy and money is attracted to us. I get that. But in reality, is it easy work or hard work to make a lot of money?
It takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of work. Okay. To have a crop grow from a field, is it easy or is it hard work?
It's hard work.
It's hard work. To have 6-pack abs, I can show you mine right now. Easy or hard?
Hard.
Yeah. So, but none of those things feel as good as when you're making love to your wife and she's clawing at the back of your back and her eyes are rolled back in her head and she's saying, oh my God, oh my God. I don't know if they say that in Jewish culture, they say, oh my God. I don't know what word you guys say there. But
yes.
But she's calling out to something that's bigger than her because of you and your beautiful manhood taking her to Pleasure Town.
Love it.
That feels better than I've made a lot of money. I've got 6-pack abs. I've seen shit grow, but guess what? Nothing filled my soul the way that is. So if we know all of this is going to take some actual effort in becoming something, expect the same thing over here. And if you expect that and you accept that that's the reality, oh, well then, dude, what actually happens is you realize I'm actually not doing any of this for her. I'm going to teach you some strategies and techniques and understanding where she's at because, and like I said, I've interviewed a lot more naked women than most guys and they wanted to be there and they were excited. And this is after I took them to heaven and back. And then I could just sit there because I'm a really curious guy. I would interview them. Hey, so when this happened, what did you think about this? Not in the sex thing, but like in the buildup and the attraction and what that's going on. And that's what my big punchline, as you know, is the reason your wife isn't initiating and the reason your wife isn't enthusiastically participating or why she probably feels like she cares more about the spreadsheets than she does the bed sheets is very simple. She's not attracted to you anymore. And so the punchline isn't, I'm going to go do all this for her. The punchline is, dude, I want to be the most attractive version of me for me because you look like you're in good shape. You got a good jawline. You got a good hairline. Look like you're doing good. Got straight, beautiful white teeth. Like you're in it. And it makes you feel good.
Yeah. To
walk out and go, I'm a fucking stud. And here's the real kicker. Here's the strategy and the psychology most men don't know. In short-term attraction, when I was a single guy, to be able to have sex with hundreds of women, it wasn't really that hard because they all knew about each other. And they knew this guy has options. And if I don't become one of his best options, he's not locking me down.
Yeah.
But in marriage, all that options are gone. But what you still have is the perception of options. And what that means is, does your wife actually think you're the catch of the county? Does she go like, dude, I'm with the greatest guy in this city. That's my man. Well, whose responsibility is that? It's yours. Yeah. And that's one of the mantras we have in our thing is I'm the catch of the county, which simply means if my wife was crazy enough to want to leave, which I don't think she ever would, because I'm going to be this guy because I like this guy. But what's the reality of 100 women showing up at my door going, how do I become the next Mrs. Keith Yackey?
Yeah.
That's when you know you're the catch of the county. But you're not going to know that in here if you know, fuck, I'm 60 pounds overweight. Dang, I'm not really applying myself in my business and creating more resource. Man, I'm not really that good with my kids. I'm kind of a crank and a grump. So you start to see, wait a second, I'm not doing this just for her. I'm doing this to become the best version of me, which then gives her the like, shit, I'm with the best option. This is the psychology, but this is the joy that we get to experience. The sex and the abundance of sex is the fruit of all of that hard work.
Love it. All right. So without further ado, we've been chatting for 20 minutes. People are like, what are these 5 dials? What the hell is this? Can you take it right now? What are these 5 dials of a powerhouse marriage?
All right. These are the 5 things that your wife is looking at you and judging you on to whether she's going to be attracted to you or not. And I don't believe attraction is a choice. So if for guys here watching, most of us are married. And so we've got our gal, we've got our partner for life, and we want her to truly like want us. And that's the other thing. It's like, yeah, we want sex. But you can go do that with your hand. And we've even had guys that come in and go, hey, my wife doesn't have sex with me. She found me a girlfriend to handle that part of my life. And I don't want that. I want her. But what is he really saying? He's saying, I want her to want me.
Absolutely.
Yes, we want to be wanted. And the key is, well, then you got to become wantable. There's just a Honda doesn't get Lamborghini prices because nobody fucking wants a Honda. They'd rather have the Lamborghini, and that's why it's more expensive. So when we look at this, we go, okay, we want our wife to be attracted to us again, meaning pulled in. Attraction means I can't stop. It's a tractor beam. I can't stop. Rather than being pushed and repelled away. So she's looking at you going, all right, first dial, is this dude a good parent? And I would encourage every man listening here to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How do you really believe your wife would rate you as a parent? And I'm not talking about because you provide, because you produce, because you protect. Most guys just think, hey, man, I'm providing, I'm producing, I'm protecting. Where's my blowjobs? You know what I mean? And reality is, well, let's find out. Does she think you're a good parent? Because the reason why this is so important is because she spent 9 months giving birth to making this baby. And then her heart of heart, her soul of souls is, yo, I have to protect this child to survive and thrive for a minimum of 18 years. But I know in your community, probably very similar to I'm a very deep, I have a lot of Catholic background. Dude, these moms want to mom you until you're damn near dead, right? Yes. So this motherly instinct is always going to be there for their children. So if she looks at the father and the father's just like, yeah, you take care of the kids, you take care of the kids, she starts to feel like a single mom. And she goes, I don't like this feeling. I want a teammate. I want a partner. I want a man that is leading my children with that masculine energy. We always joke around in my house because sometimes I'm a little more guy because I'm a dude. And if Jesse goes, I go, hey, our daughter doesn't have 2 moms. Just a mom and a dad. So love her, coddle her, do whatever you want with her. But you know what she's going to learn from me? Carry your own weight. Leave no trace of where you're at. Give more than you receive. Do your best job the first time. And if it sucks, you better stick around until it's good because that's your own self-pride that you're talking about. So I've instilled these things in her, which is the masculine edge. That's going to bring out that. So when my wife looks at me and she goes, dude, she told me this, I don't even want to have another kid with you. You were so bad with the first one. Oh. And I was like, oh, damn. Okay. And she wasn't wrong. Here's what is going on. And guys, you just have to listen to this and trust this. And I'm going to give you a stat that will make you, so you have to trust it. Real simple. Moms are going to love their kids more than their husband 100% of the time. And the reason I know this is because moms don't divorce kids, moms divorce dads. 100% of the time. So what happens if you're a shit dad like I was, her resentment level just goes through the roof. She's like, dude, and that's what my wife said. I feel like a single mom. So guys, rate yourself. Scale of 1 to 10. How are you doing on the parenting dial? That's dial number 1. Anything you want to say, Eagle, about that or
No,
add to that?
I agree. I mean, I love that. I think that it's funny. I used to tell my wife before we got married, I said I think I'd be a much better dad than a husband. Like I know I'm a great dad. Yes, I fuck it up sometimes. I scream and yell. I think we all do that. I'm exhausted. Right now we just took away the crib to our 3-year-old. So she's
Mm,
crawling into our bed, kicking me at night. And like just, but I totally agree with that. Even my wife has said it, like, I admire you so much because you're such a good dad.
yeah. Yeah. So a lot of guys will ask me, Eagle, hey, is being a good dad, is that a huge turn on for your wife? And I go, well, I know they say that it is, and I'm not saying it's not, but I am saying if you're not a good dad, it's a huge turn
Mm,
off.
yeah.
So is there a lot of upside to being a great dad for her? Yeah, maybe. But is there a huge downside? It's one of the biggest downsides you could possibly ever do is be a shit dad.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, especially like in the Jewish culture, we're taught to produce so much, right? To be great businessmen. And sometimes we forget about that aspect. We're like, oh, well, you just take care of them. Like, I'm bringing
Yeah,
home the money. Like you said, I'm bringing home the money and I'll go on vacation once every 3 months with you guys. I'm
yeah,
working. But then on the other hand, we're also taught that like there's a Sabbath, like take a break, be with your
yeah,
family. But
yeah,
those high producing guys are like, F it. Like, I'm just going to go to work. Doesn't really
yeah,
matter. I just want to
yeah,
play the game of making more money and
yeah,
showing the community that I've got it. So makes total
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Even though I'm not a part of the Jewish community, I've been taking a Sabbath for probably 6 or 7 years. Mondays
Nice.
are I just take the entire day off. I do
Nice.
nothing, and I let my soul rest. So I'm pretty good at that Sabbath thing. I do it a different day than you do, I'm sure, but I and it is good. It regroups my soul so I can go the other 6 days. And here's the really cool thing is being a good parent is not about necessarily getting your kids to do what you say.
Yeah.
For me, being a good parent is finding out what turns my kid on, like what, not in a bad way,
No, I get that.
like
I get it.
what turns their brain on and lights them up. So when I spend time on the weekends with my daughter, I go, all right, what's our, I'm teaching her leadership. She's 9, about ready to be 10. And I go, okay, you and I, we've got the weekend together. I normally have one full day, which just my daughter and I, no wife, no nothing. So my wife can go and see her mom and hang out with her family and not be around the kid hanging around her all day. But sometimes I have her for the weekend. And I pull out my phone, we pull out the notes section on my iPhone, and we call it the playlist. And I let her build the itinerary for the weekend.
Mm, awesome.
Yeah.
Very
All
cool.
right. That's dial number 1. You ready for dial number 2?
I'm ready to rock.
Okay, dial number 2 is the partner dial. So the first one was the parenting dial. The second one is the partner dial. And the partner dial is the AKA best friend dial. Meaning, does she feel like she's talking to her best friend or does she feel like you're an oaf? You know what I mean? Like, does she have to explain everything to you or realize you don't know anything? But remember when you were dating, there was best friend vibes. Yeah, I know you were having sex. Yeah, and anything was a date.
Yeah.
Literally, okay, so the second time I went out with Jesse, I said, hey, come over to my place. I'm not feeling perfect, but let's just hang here. When she got over there, I was like, dude, I'm out of like Benadryl or whatever. And she's like, oh, well, let's just go to the store. I go, cool, it's a date. Like just like joking, but that's what it was like back when we were dating.
Yeah.
And it
100%.
was for you. Everything just hanging out was like, I just want to be around you. And they can tell that you've lost that. And they can tell by how you uh, dialogue and engage in the conversation. So here's one rule that I would just say, and for all of us business guys, because I love business, it is the game I love. You know what I mean? It's so fun. It's so great to be able to create value in the world that people throw money at you for because
Yeah.
it helps their life so much. Like that's ultimate, dude. That's the ultimate. And so, um, man, if you listen to your wife and pay attention as close as you do on a sales call, she will feel radically connected to you. Tell
Yeah.
me more. Well, why do you believe that? curiosity. You show up differently. And so if a guy realizes ultimately, like, dude, why would I give a perfect stranger all this beautiful attention, and yet my wife, the one who is my teammate for life, my real partner in creation in this whole thing, and I barely have time to listen to her stupid story about her mom? You know what I mean? Like, it just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. And so here's where I got really caught. First of all, by the way, I was like a 2 out of 10 on my parenting when Jesse left. This was almost 8 years ago. And I was like a 2 on my partner. And my wife said, I felt more alone being married to you than if I was single. So you were talking to the guy who messed this really up in a major, major way. And it's what led me to realize this is so unattractive. And that's where we come up with the connection, on the outside of the bedroom is what leads to connection on the inside of the bedroom. Best friends want to do things for their best friend that make them happy. And when your wife doesn't think of you as your best friend anymore, it's because she doesn't care about making you happy and pleasing you. If you have a best friend that's like, dude, whenever you come over, when you give me a big high five, it makes my heart blessed. Man, I love that feeling. What would you do every time you saw your best friend?
Yeah.
You give him a big ass high five.
All day. Yeah.
And that's what our wives want to do to us if we would know how to show up. And honestly, this dial, it seems really like, oh, partner dial, blah, blah. No. This is the dial that if you really understand this one, will crank your sex life through the roof, because a happy best friend wife wants a happy best friend husband, and she knows exactly what makes that guy happy. She just doesn't want to have to deal with all the resentment and bullshit you put her through to get you what you want.
So I've got a question. Actually, the last week, I've had a couple of conversations about, guys saying that, my wife thinks that she's sharing, but I hear it as complaining. Right. And so I'm just like, oh, like, why are you complaining so much? Or what's going on? And what you're talking about is like, if she's sharing to her best friend. And that's what they want us to do, is like, they want us to receive it as sharing, ask questions about it. Like, what made you feel that way? What do you think? Not judging or not trying to fix the situation. But I feel that sometimes as men, we hear it as complaining.
Yeah.
We give that back to the wives, and it just blocks them. They're just like, whatever, dude. Like, you want that blowjob? Yeah, right. You can't even listen to me, as I'm sharing, complaining, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yep. Okay. And here's why, because it feels like she's lifting furniture by herself.
Yeah.
That's why. And here's the thing. If you didn't have a wife right now, you're instantly single and you're on a first date, you don't hear complaining.
No,
you hear a lady sharing and burying her soul, and you're like, no, let me hit. I got you. Come on, and we're getting naked later, right? Like we're on the naked train. I just have to listen to some bullshit stories, and we're gonna be naked later. That's how we would show up on a date. Why wouldn't we show up with actual, real, like, hey, this is my teammate, and she's unloading a burden that have me help her carry it.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me what's going on. And I don't have to fix it. That's the other thing. I don't have to fix shit. Unless she asks me to fix it, then I get to come in like the hero. But at this point, she wants to have an orgasm. That's what she wants. We have blue balls we want to release. They have blue tongue. They just want to talk. And they want to hear somebody go, that makes sense. You're not crazy. I hear you. I understand you. Wow. And then here's a great question. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And they go, oh my God, he didn't try and answer my question. Dude, answering someone's question, by the way, we go, oh, women hate when men answer their questions. No, every human hates when you answer their question. If I was to come to you right now, you're going like, dude, man, I got this shoulder and I'm just like, it's been just really, and you go like this, oh, dude, I know what happened. See what happened to my cousin? I'd be like, Eagle, shut the fuck up. Stop. Just be like, oh, dude, that sucks, man. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. Yeah. And I'd be like, yeah, cool. I just needed to get it. I just needed to say it. Yeah, humans just, we like to do that.
You gotta vomit sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how they talk to their best friend.
Yeah.
And they talk to their mom and they talk to their sister this way. It's why they talk to them. Yeah. And then what happened next? What did they say? No. Oh, what were you feeling in that moment?
I'm cracking up because when my wife talks to me and she listens to the show, when my wife talks to me, she'll be like, and what did you ask him? And what did he say? And I'm like, nothing. But where did, and what time did they leave? I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like she's talking to me and asking questions like she speaks to her friends.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, no, I didn't ask that,
Yeah.
but I totally understand. And
Also, just so I don't get misunderstood, because I want to make sure there's clarity here. We're not just listening to have sex.
no, for sure.
We're really listening because, like, hey, this is the person I have sex with. And if I want her to want to have sex with me more, I should become a good listener. And so there's a piece of us that's got to realize that women aren't just little dudes, right? They really are. If we're diesel, they're gasoline. It looks like the same fucking car, but there's a different fuel going on inside there.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's just beautiful, man.
Put the wrong one in and you fuck up the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Let's go. I love that. So partners, let's go to number 3. What's number 3?
All right, your community is going to love this. My community loves this. All fucking dudes love this dial. It's the producer dial.
Got it.
Produce, man. But here's where it can get a little astray. Depending on how successful you are, sometimes our businesses can be on autopilot. We can have a tremendous amount of abundance. When I was moving into my dream house, when Jesse left me, my business was doing really well. And I'd taken my foot off the gas. And so she's seen this extremely, when she met me, I was driven 185 pounds of tiger meat wrapped in barbed wire, ready to take on the world. And when she left me, I had already become successful. I weighed 245 pounds, and not tiger meat wrapped in barbed wire. And she goes, damn, you've lost your vision, your drive and ambition. You're not going anywhere anymore. And when these women hitch their wagons to our horses, they expect to go somewhere. Nobody wants to be in cloth seat Corolla in a 1-bedroom apartment forever, right? We get that. The other side of that coin, which I also fucked up with, a lot of other guys do this, we become workaholics. Yeah. And we only find our satisfaction and our value in the world and how much money we make. And so we go after that and we neglect our family. So when my answer was, I'm doing all of this for you, literally moving into our dream house in Las Vegas. Anybody would love to live there. It's a very nice place. And she goes, that's cute. You're never here. Yeah. And so a lot of guys are like, dude, I do everything for my family. And when reality is, if you ask a guy, well, how much money have you invested in becoming a good husband or a good dad and understanding how to really lead a family? Most guys would say, the only thing I've ever invested in is like vacations to try and keep my wife happy and hopefully have some good hotel sex. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. 100%.
Yeah. So you got to produce.
With the production, I think also what comes to mind is that they married somebody who they saw something in, right? When it comes to success and production. And when you don't follow through with that vision, there's a sense of disappointment.
Sure.
Like, I married you because of your drive and your goals and like everything you talked about. And now you're just kind of sitting there, like Al Bundy on the couch and, hand in the pants watching TV. That's not the vision I had when we started this.
Exactly. Nailed it. Fucking nailed it. They see a man driven and they go, nobody likes to go to a train to nowhere.
Yeah.
They don't want to go, they don't go to the train station like, where are we going? Doesn't matter. We're just going to sit right here and look out the window. No, they want, where are we going? The anticipation, the excitement. I'm with a stud. Dude, a woman wants to know she picked the man, not the runt of the litter, and settled for like, I just got the scraps. Yeah. A woman who thinks she just got the scraps is not trying to jump in bed with you every little time she can. Yeah. Because she knows it blesses you. Again, this is that being wantable piece.
Always goes back to love it. Number 4.
This one is okay. So I hope the guys have been following at home. Scale of 1 to 10 on parent, scale of 1 to 10 on partner, scale of 1 to 10 on producer. Here's where the scores are going to take a real precipitous dip. This is the player dial. The player dial is, as it sounds, the playfulness, the fun, the lightheartedness, the flirting, the joking, as the great American poet Cyndi Lauper says, girls just want to have fun. And so what are we talking about? It's like, dude, remember back when you guys were dating and life was fun? And most guys, I'll ask them because we do lots of guys that come into our program all the time, and it's like they're like, dude, man, when we were dating, it was fire. So great dating life equaled great sex life. And I go, cool, man. Well, what's your dating life like now? Well, I got kids, I got this, and like, oh, so you haven't spent a lot of one-on-one time creating a good, fun time. You don't have a lot of inside jokes. You don't have a lot of memories of where you've gone. You don't have a time where you were on the dance floor and having a good time. You don't have any of those memories. And you expect her to just, when you get home, to just be like, let's go, my man. Where have you been all day? But us guys want this, but yet we're not creating a lot of fun or a cool environment for them to come in and be part of. And so this is that dial where it's hey, I've been an athlete my whole life, 185 pounds, one of the best people on all the sports teams I've ever been on. Athletic, 185 pounds. I'm literally, the week I met Jesse, I was at Newport Beach. Shout out to Newport Beach. I was with 3 or 4 of my buddies right there on the walkway. I was dialed in to, I'm walking up the pier and girls are stopping me to touch my body. No wonder Jesse was like, dude, she only thought I was going to be a one-night stand. She's like, I've never had a one-night stand. I know this guy. I bet you he would do it.
Yeah.
And yet, when she left me, we were taking we had the baby. The baby was 2 when she left. We were taking pregnancy pictures together, sitting on the ground, and my belly was like almost as big as hers at 245. So it's just the ultimate bait and switch, right? And so I'm like, I'm going to sell you a stud and I'm going to deliver a dud. And she's like, whoa, dude, this is not cool. And so that's when I realized I stopped taking her on dates. I was no longer looking fly and fresh and fierce. And when she walks out, she goes, my man can handle stuff. And damn, he looks good. Like, they want to be proud of being on the arm of the man too. And so when it's all boiled down to, every guy goes, I want my wife to treat me like I'm a stud. Become the stud, and it becomes inevitable. Not only that, but you ask guys about their dating life, and I go, dude, when's the last time you took your wife on a date? And they're like, oh, we went to Home Depot to pick up some parts, and then, swang by the, Chick-fil-A drive-through, and it was a great night. And it's like, okay, Casanova, now we know why you're not getting more ass and toilet seat. Okay, this is a problem. Because we've got to get them out of mom mode and PTA mode and stepping on Lego mode, and take her back out to be that sassy girl that we met on the dance floor, or that we met out through our friends, or that we used to take on a date. It's creating an environment of fun and romance again that most guys just expect the wife to carry, and eventually they get tired of carrying it. They're like, I'm done carrying all this romantic weight. And I despise you and hate you, and I'm totally dry down there for you. It's what happens.
It's 100%. So I'll take my wife on a vacation, and I'll say, God, you're so happy. Like, you're having such a great time. She's like, yeah, because you got me out of the house. She's like, when I'm at home, I'm washing clothes and folding clothes and picking up toys and girls and showers and all this type of stuff. And I'm present to help. But she's like, now I can be me. I could be a woman. I could be sexy. We can flirt. We can date. We can, hold, like, that's what I want. Right. And so, by the way, I texting my wife that we're going on a date tonight. And
good. Nice. Hell yeah.
But 100%, because you get into this routine of, it is what it is. Some people have help at home. Some people don't. Some people have family. Some people don't. Some people have babysitters, whatever that is. But I used to take my wife when business wasn't doing well, we'd go to the beach, we'd open up the trunk, we'd have a picnic at the beach. And that's what she said. She goes, you don't have to take me to the best Italian restaurant and spend $200. We can just go to the beach in the trunk again and have a Subway sandwich. It doesn't matter. Just get me out of here. I want to spend time with you. So this makes perfect sense. So it's having fun, making them smile again. That way, like, they connect that playfulness to fun with you. So when you do come home, there's a different playfulness up in their mind, and hopefully it won't be dry down there, as you said.
That's right. That's right. Every once in a while, a staycation. Like tomorrow, we're going down to one of our favorite staycation spots just to go down there for the day. We're going to kayak, not kayak, but like paddleboard around. It's me, my daughter, my wife, and it's just going to be, they realize that most wives feel like they lose themselves in their husband's shadow because he's building this and he's so important. And I'm not saying you're not, and I'm not saying building shit isn't great. It is. But what I came to realize is that the person who knew me best was the one that said, you're a big piece of shit. And I had to realize, damn, dude, my wife feels so neglected. She would rather not be here.
Yeah,
that's a problem. I had stopped becoming fun. Dude, even to this day, even though we've got dough and business is great and where we live is amazing, and sometimes we do the $200 sushi and the this and all that. Dude, there are times where we will just, like you said, we'll go down to Laguna Beach. They got some benches right there. We'll grab a roll of sushi or a piece of pizza and walk it out there and just sit there as the sun goes down and to be like, you're cool, man. I like you.
I could do this again.
Yeah.
Awesome. Number 5, Keith. What's number 5?
This one is the power dial. And this is a man standing in his power. And what I've discovered, when most guys, when they're like, how do I get more sex in my marriage? First of all, a lot of guys don't even know that they have any control over it. Like and the truth is you're the leader, so you have control over everything. Yeah. And if you don't like your money right, you got to learn about money. If you don't like your fitness, you got to go learn about fitness. If you don't like the physical connectivity with you and your wife, you got to go learn how to do it. There's a skill. It's an understanding. It's a way of being. And so there's a lot of bad advice out there. And I call them the pseudo solutions. And it's the do more chores around the house. And guys are banging pots and pans a little louder to make sure their little wife knows he's in the kitchen doing stuff. Or he's taking the trash out and banging it on the wall as he heads out just to make sure everybody knows they can hear the soda pop cans rattling around, like, because he's doing it. But it's almost, and then buy more gifts, say yes, happy wife, happy life. All this shit's being just flooded down people's throats. But here's what's interesting. And I'm taking really big hope on this one. First of all, every single guy's tried it, and every single guy goes, that shit doesn't work. They know it. They know that doesn't work at all. Okay, cool. So you know that doesn't work, but you keep trying it because you think, well, what else is there to do? And what's beautiful is if those lies can be spread through the world and wholesale adopted by men, then when we speak the truth, I feel like we're just lighting a match that we can get this truth out. It's why I love coming on podcasts like yours and podcasts around the world, is because if once we get this truth out, a man will adopt my truth much quicker than he'll adopt that other bullshit. Yeah. Because the other bullshit makes him feel disempowered. Like he doesn't have any power within himself as a man. Oh, so you're going to go, and here's the thing. Those actions, they're not wrong. And we can go a little later on the time. I'm watching it, and just so you know. Cool. He's going, okay, well, dude, I don't feel very empowered doing these things. And here's why. It's because he's doing it with the actions aren't wrong. It's the attitude. His attitude is, if I do this, man, I hope I get laid. And that's a transaction. And that's taker energy. That's I'm only doing this just to get something. And dude, women can smell that shit from a mile away, dude. They are bloodhounds when it comes to that. And she can be like, oh, you did your chores. Well done. I bet you want to get laid, don't you? And what happens? The guy falls into the mom matrix. Now it's like he's asking his mommy, did I get a gold star? Did I get a cookie? Can I get your nookie? Like
he flips into the feminine.
Yeah. And what's happening is he's doing it to get something. Yeah. Which is, it's like he's interviewing, hoping to get the job. Yeah. And that's so unattractive.
Agreed. I love that, man.
But there's more.
Do tell.
It's not a wrong action. It's a wrong attitude. The answer to that is we do those things because that's our standard. And we don't do it to get anything. I have 100% giver energy. I have a private chef, but I have one dish and one fucking fork and knife I have to wash. He pre-makes my meals, sets them up for me, so I just pull them out, heat them up, and eat them. Yeah. I'm 100% independent. I don't need my wife to cook for me. I don't need my wife. I run a business. I do jujitsu. I'm very active lifestyle. And guess what? I'm not one of her fucking kids. Yeah. I wash the plate, I put it back, or I rinse it and put it in the dishwasher. Leave no trace. And here's the thing: is when you lose the power in your relationship, she now has to carry the masculine load because now she's got a little kid on her hands. And guys will say this, like, "How many kids you got?" He goes, "I got 4, but my wife says she has 5."
Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah, moms don't want to have sex with their kids. You know what I mean? Not out where I live. I don't know where you guys are at, but that ain't the way we operate around here. So how do you truly stay in your power? Well, truly staying in your power is you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it without fault. Here's why.
Integrity.
Because when you have to earn her trust, meaning that when you say something, she goes, I can bank on that shit all day long. And when the trust goes up, the lust goes up. This is the key. I moved into a beautiful house about 5 years ago, and Jesse's like, hey, can you hang these pictures over in this area? This would be such a cool area. I'm like, oh, great idea. Week goes by. Hey, do you think another week goes by. Keith, I don't want to nag. 3 weeks goes by. She's like, yo, bro. And I was like, man, but we do this all the time. We say, hey, I'll be home at 5, and then we're not home till 5:13, 5:18, 5:31. And rather than, it's always an excuse. We like doing what you say you're going to do is huge. Hey, how about this? When guys ask for sex and they get rejected, what do most men do? They act like pouty little bitches.
Yeah. Yeah. And
there's never been a lady once that's seen a pouty, passive-aggressive man when he acts that way go, oh, dude, now I'm turned on. You get that pouty little lip right back over here and you start chewing on me, big boy. Let's go. Never happened. But yet that's the only response a man knows is pout. And I want it. Gosh dang it. And she's like, dude, I definitely can't give it to you now because that behavior, we cannot.
You just went too far. We're done.
So, but this is what guys do, and they don't know any better way. So they're like, what do I do? And it's like, no. You're the standard. You're the problem, which means you're the solution. There's hope. You can totally turn this around. And when you do something, it's because it's your standard. It's who you are, man.
I'm writing down leave no trace. I love that.
Yeah. Because carry your weight and leave no trace.
I think one of the biggest complaints that I hear from, like the wives of my friends or whatnot is like, oh, he leaves his laundry. Oh, like, but if you leave no trace, like what? That's it. Like, what? Can I help you? What's going on?
Yeah.
And it gives.
Bro, it's so rare for Jessie washed my dish like 2 days ago, and she was joking. I was like, "Ooh, I washed your dish." I'm like, "You get your grubby hands off my dish." I mean, just joking around because it's so rare that I would ever leave anything around simply for one reason. She's not my mom. Yeah. And I don't want her to ever. There's a motherly, feminine energy that our wife will give to us that's soothing, but we don't want her looking at us like she wants to look at you like a warrior that she can infuse soul into to be stronger, not some weak little kid that didn't get his kisses today, and so he's mad. But it's what we do, and guess what? The reason why you wanted me on your podcast is because this is the shit I talk about on my Instagram, and where else are you hearing this?
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Like nowhere. Maybe there's some guys talking about it. It's a big world out there, but not a lot. It's not mainstream.
Listen, in the Jewish community, I mean, the podcast is called Tribesmen, and the whole point of that is for us to become powerful again, powerful in our marriages, at work, in our spirituality, with our kids, everywhere, especially what's happening in the world today, with the anti-Semitism. But we've become very, very weak, and we've become little boys. And you said it so right. When you talk about like, they don't want. Why should there be our mothers? Right. And so what happens is when they're washing your underwear and they look at you as like their kid, why do they want to have sex with you? Like all this is, I'm laughing my ass off because this is hilarious because I say this in every podcast, I believe that God brings the guest, not just for the audience, but for me as well. Right. Like it's the right time, the right place, the right moment for me as well. And I'm cracking up because it makes perfect sense what you're talking about, Keith. I'm going to wrap this up because I know you got to go. I think it's been outstanding, the value that you give and the fact that you talk about it in the way that you do, making, you made me laugh. You made me think. You made me be like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. I'm such a baby. Like I'm going to fix some of this stuff and just kind of go over here, parent, partner, producer, player, and power. And the last line that I want to reiterate what you said which I think is what a lot of women complain about, which is when the trust goes up, the lust goes up. That's brilliant, bro. Brilliantly
Thank you,
said.
man.
Um, Keith, man, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. And
Can
if
I
you
say one
want,
last thing
yeah,
before we
you can
sign
say
off?
3 more if you like. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want the guys to know, yes, a lot of men come to us in this pit and they're looking at the peak. They see my marriage and go, and if you spend any time around my wife and I, you realize like we genuinely are into each other.
Yeah.
Like it probably looks inappropriate at times, and it might be, but we're in love and we like putting our hands on each other. That being said, not everybody's in the pit and not everybody's at the peak. Some people are already on the path and they go, dude, everything else in our marriage is great and our sex isn't bad, but the way you speak of this, like my wife wants to make sure I'm the most fully sexually fulfilled man that's walking planet Earth. And I want her to be the most emotionally satisfied woman on planet Earth because her emotions and the neglecting or the rejecting of those is what feels like sexual rejection to us, is what emotional neglection feels like to them. New word, neglection. But anyhow, that being said, I just want all these guys to know that even if you're not in the pit where you're like hanging on for dear life in a marriage you hate, but you're on this path, we've had a lot of guys come in and just go, dude, I want an elite marriage. I'm not going to settle for anything other than an elite marriage. And now that I've heard you talk, Keith, I want to know how the heck do I get this elite marriage? And these same principles, they work all the way up the food chain to where I still live these principles day in and day out, and I'm still growing as a man. So this isn't just for the guy that's like, dude, I haven't been laid in 6 months and my wife hates me. This could be the guy that's going, dude, I'm getting laid 2 or 3 times a week. And that's great, but I want more connection. I want to feel the soul, not just the whole. And the way we approach it is the exact same, except we just look at where a guy's at and go, oh, you're a blue belt. You're not a black belt yet. Cool. Well, we can get you to your next level of your belt.
Love that, man. And where you can find Keith is you can go to keithyackey.com or marriedgame.com, and I will put those links in the show notes. Keith, as I always in the show, may you be blessed with more strength and courage. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. You're epic. I love it. And keep helping men and women connect more on the soul level, not just to have more sex, but to have an epic marriage. I appreciate you. For those of you listening, stay tuned for the next episode of the Tribesmen Podcast. And don't forget to join us in the Facebook group, Tribesmen Jewish Men Leading.